His name is Senator Mark Wall. I need the Minister for Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth to make a statement on the number of assessments of need that are outstanding or overdue in the CH07 area.
Minister, I too want to welcome you into the House today. I also want to thank the Cathaoirleach for selecting this very important matter. Minister, it was in February of this year that I raised this matter previously with your colleague, Minister Anne Rabbitte, and that is, of course, the need to reduce and find out what are the waiting times for assessment of need in CH07 area, which is the area where I live. On the day in question, Minister, I was presented with figures from the HSE which included a figure of 1,320 individuals and their families who were waiting on an assessment of need. In fairness to Minister Rabbitte on the day, she was very honest in her contribution. I want to recollect what she actually said on the day, Minister, because I think that is very important. She stated that it is important for me to be honest and transparent with the Senator. The Senator is after getting a script, but I need to correct something on it. It states that CH07 currently reports 1,320. Thankfully, Noel in the Minister's office kept digging until he actually got the correct figure. The figure was actually 2,665, a lot more than the figure provided by the HSE. That, the Minister went on to say, is the number of families in CH07 that were waiting on an assessment of need. The Minister went on that day to also state and describe this day as a Groundhog Day, Ministers. This is as bad as it can get, she stated. To be honest, the HSE have not kept pace with the growth in population, as shown in the census returns. Funding has not kept pace with the disability sector and the growing population. It is important to say that, the Minister concluded. Minister, in subsequent conversations I've had with this House, with Minister Rabbitte, and indeed Minister has had in the Dáil, she has mentioned that she was in the process of setting up 6 regional hubs to tackle once and for all the delays with waiting lists. However, in a recent reply to a PQ raised by my colleague Sean Sherlock TD, Bernard O'Regan, Head of Operations and Disability Services of the HSE, gave a figure of 1,986 families in my own area waiting on an assessment of need, of which 1,596 families are waiting longer than 3 months. The reply went on to describe an assessment of need administrative hub being set up in CH07, along with CHOs 1, 4 and 5 and 8, and an assessment hub has been established in CHOs 3, 6 and 9. I would appreciate in your reply today, Minister, if you could outline the differences between an administrative hub and an assessment hub. In my own area, CH07, are we at a disadvantage by only having an administrative hub rather than having an assessment hub, which other CHO areas have? You might, in your reply, Minister, also confirm the correct number of families waiting on an assessment of need in CH07. Has the figure that was given to me by Minister Rabbitte reduced from 2,665 to 1,986? Or has the figure that the HSE provided on the day risen from 1,320 to the figure in the PQ quoted recently in the last week of 1,986? You see, the reason why they've put that down again, Minister, is behind those figures there's families. And I know Minister Rabbitte knows that fact, but unfortunately I'm not sure if everybody in the HSE realises that. A family I mentioned on that day in last February from my own hometown of Athy have still not heard anything, Minister, in relation to assessment of need. The last time one was carried out for their young son was 2012. They were offered a PTA in 2021, and of course the High Court has overruled that. Yet this family are still trying to get an assessment of need for their son. You know, that piece of paper, as I've described before, that all families need, even though the HSE, indeed the Minister on the day told us wasn't needed, everywhere I talk to families, they are asked for their assessment of need first. So campaigners like young Cara Demedy, whom I met actually here today, once again have highlighted the waiting lists time and time again. Not a week goes by, I'm sure, that you, Minister, and indeed all colleagues in this House get a call from a family or families in relation to assessment of needs and trying to improve their waiting time. So I look forward to your reply, Minister, and I hope you can explain some of the reasons in that, or answers in that PQ.
Thank you, Senator. Minister.
Thanks, Chair. I'd like to thank Senator Wall for raising this important issue for discussion in the House this afternoon. I wish to be completely clear that the development of any child with a disability to reach his or her full potential remains a matter of utmost importance for this government. I am aware that the provision of a timely and effective assessment process that works for children and families in an area of ongoing focus for my colleague Minister Rabbitte, the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth and the Health Service Executive. The principle of early intervention is recognised by both Minister Rabbitte and the HSE, particularly in the context of the services and supports it provides to children with disabilities and their families. In line with this, the HSE focus has been to develop a strategy for services that is reflective of the best national and international practice. Excuse me. The current backlog on assessments of needs has been caused by a number of factors, including rising applications due to general population increases, staffing shortages being experienced by Children's Development Network teams across the country, and the impact of the High Court judgment of March 2022, which directed that the standard operating procedure used to address backlogs did not fulfil the requirements of the Disability Act. Assessments of need are currently being progressed in line with the revised clinical guidance developed on foot of the High Court judgment, which has been clinically approved and allows for clinicians to exercise their professional judgment on the scope and extent of each assessment. Accordingly, assessments can range in duration, having regard to the complexity of the child's presenting needs. In terms of CHO7, the HSE advised that currently there are 1,935 children waiting an assessment of needs that are outstanding as of late summer 2023. A more recent figure is not available due to the ongoing industrial action within the HSE affecting administrative and managerial grades. I am aware that Minister Rabbitte has ongoing engagement with national and local HSE management, and as a result of the launch of the PDS roadmap last month, there are planned measures to alleviate the backlog, including outsourcing assessments to private clinicians to improve capacity. Funding of £11.5 million was allocated in 2023 to procure diagnostic assessments from the private sector. However, this sector is also experiencing staff supply issues. The establishment of the regional assessment hubs, which will assist each CHO in the reduction of waiting times. At present, all AON referrals are managed centrally by the regional team based in Naas. An extensive recruitment programme to enhance CDNT's capacities so that any assessments of needs and therapy interventions can be delivered. The building of the CDNT's team's capacity is a critical component for the HSE to achieve its objectives for children's services. Amongst the many initiatives being pursued in the recruitment space, the HSE advised of the launch of a targeted initiative to recruit Irish health and social care professionals, graduates who have gone overseas. A competitive relocation package has been launched to facilitate overseas recruitments, and all 2023 HSCP graduates who are successful at interview are being offered multiple permanent opportunities. These measures, amongst others, are part of a national campaign and are intended to benefit all CHO areas. I want to assure the House that Minister Rabbitte continues to work closely with the Department and the HSE to address the issues of delays in assessments of needs via the roadmap drive to progress on the challenges to ensure the fundamental requirements of children with disabilities and their families are met in a timely manner.
Minister, Senator, 1 minute.
Yeah, thanks very much, Minister. Unfortunately, the reply does not differentiate between an administrative hub and an assessment hub. And again, I asked the question, Minister, maybe you might bring that back to Minister Rabbitte to differentiate between the two, because it would tell me that the administrative hub is just gathering up information, while it seems to be that an assessment hub are actually carrying out assessments. So we don't have one in CHO7. The figure of 1,935 is 20 or so short than the figure was provided in the PQ a couple of weeks ago. Notwithstanding the industrial action that is mentioned in relation to the reply. But most importantly, Minister, I would ask you to bring it back to Minister Rabbitte. In a debate that she had in Dáil Éireann, she promised that she would use private resources for waiting and reducing these times. And unfortunately, looking at the figures I have in front of me today, the times are not reducing for families, including that family that I've mentioned and many others that are in my area. So is the Minister actually using private resources? The reply that I've got from Senator Sherlock and your own reply today, Minister, basically refers to it but doesn't actually go into what detail is needed for many families who unfortunately, Cathaoirleach, are still waiting on an assessment of need, and today they haven't got the update that many are waiting on.
Thank you, Senator. Minister.
Thanks. And I wish to thank the Senator for providing this opportunity to speak on this very important issue. And I absolutely agree, and I know that it is a view shared across government, that children who are seeking assessments of needs must receive them in a timely manner. Funding has been provided to the HSE for additional posts in recent years to enhance the capacity of the CDN teams and shorten waiting times. The overall funding in recent years provides for over nearly 800 whole-time equivalent posts, including about 175 therapy assistance posts approved in Budget 2024. The current delays in accessing therapy services are directly related to vacancies across the CDN teams network, and work is ongoing by the HSE to maximise the capacity of each of the CDN teams via recruitment campaigns and other measures. These measures include sourcing therapy assessments and interventions via private service providers, along with the standing up of regional assessment hubs. I am aware that my colleague Minister Rabbitte is fully engaged with the HSE on the matter of recruitment, and in addition to those mentioned earlier, there are specific measures being employed by the HSE to improve capacity, and this includes the following. 227 additional training places have been developed for health and social care professionals, which commenced in September. 147 are in the Republic of Ireland and 80 have been secured in Northern Ireland, increasing the number of trainee psychologist posts by 45 posts per annum for the next 3 years. And all final year students who apply to national campaigns have been interviewed and have been placed on recruitment panels. These measures have been developed at a national level to address the needs of all CHOs and target the provision of timely service for both assessment of needs and therapeutic interventions. It is important to state that, despite the challenges, significant work is ongoing, with over 45,000 children currently supported by the CDN teams across the country. It is acknowledged that there is yet more work to be done, but Minister Rabbitte firmly believes that the recently launched PDS roadmap will be the key to addressing this challenge. Again, we'd like to thank the Senator for raising this matter.